50 key businesses and special interest groups and everything else that they engage with in their 464 stakeholders, and I kid you not, that's just one person. They're able to now watch the transcriptions, watch them at their leisure. They're able to use the transcriptions as well. So on a given topic, one of our ladies had her breakthrough moment, and these are what you're looking for. She summarized 27 hours of public hearings in 30 minutes. And we worked with her on the prompting, and we're able to get all the key issues around Fonterra's concerns. So our long-term aspirations, our Scope 3 emission targets, which is on-farm emissions for those that don't care about Fonterra, that's fine. And a whole bunch of other aspects. And so we're able to distill that. So she's gone from working a 60-hour week to a 40-hour week. That's every week now. And so these sort of things don't just have an impact on productivity. Obviously, it's a productivity gain, but she's now not grumpy at home, which, you know, she's married with kids. And that's huge. I mean, it's really hard to quantify what that's worth. But, you know, if it saves a marriage, then what's that worth to Fonterra? You know, it's worth a lot. But we just can't put a dollar value on it. And because we're all about our farming families, we care about all the people, which includes our employees. So, you know, these sort of things make a difference, but they're really hard to put a dollar value on. If you've got leaders that you're dealing with around this and they want quantitative data, you're good luck. There's none. There really isn't. Now, we've been able to get quantitative data through no short hard work. The first thing you're going to need is Viva Insights. So unfortunately, you've got to go buy more stuff. Yes?
Update on that.
No.
The Copilot dashboard.
The Power BI ones? No. So you need insights so that you can build custom stuff in the back end, and then you can start comparing Copilot to non-Copilot users. But he's gone from the room. That Viva Insights dashboardy thing that they've published, it tells you what the opportunities are. It doesn't actually tell you the benefits. There's no benefits in there whatsoever beyond it saying off their own qualitative numbers, so 1.2 hours per week saved, that you could save this. But it's based, they're trying to present qualitative data as quantitative against your organization. So any decent CFO will see through that really, really quickly if they're looking at the numbers and they care, especially if you need like 500 licenses at only 10% discount. You're going to be, it's a big number for you guys. What we've been able to do is buy Insights licenses for a small group of people because we've got our Copilot users and then our control group. So we're able to, do that, and then we could start doing A/B testing against them. But it's a huge amount of work. Some of the things that I can share is that our users now spend 13% more time on uninterrupted work. So they're not getting distracted by Teams, chats, emails, that sort of thing. They're actually spending 13% more time, which is 6 hours of a day or something. Can't do the maths. One of the more interesting stats is, and I'll share this in two parts because you'll get my dilemma about it. Our Copilot users are 6% more focused in meetings and multitasking less. 6% of them are multitasking less. Now, that's still 39% of them are multitasking. But 44% of our non-Copilot users are multitasking as well. So we don't know what to make of this number, except too many people are multitasking. But if you have a Copilot license, you're slightly more focused. What we're able to see is 7% of our users, our users are consuming 7% more information on a daily basis when they're using Copilot and things like Intelligent Recap. Now, if you just want to dip your toes in, you can get Teams Premium, which will give you an Intelligent Recap. And if you've got an enterprise license, you've got the dumb Copilot thing there. So you can start experimenting with this stuff in a different way. You don't get the rich integration with Outlook, Word, I can't even bother to mention Excel and PowerPoint because they're not here yet. But it is a way to start experimenting and proving your business case around the value of it, because the research out there around using intelligent recap things is, if you skip the meeting and use this is scientists doing this stuff. If you skip the meeting and use intelligent recap, you will get 45 to 48 minutes back out of that hour, because it'll only take you around 12 to 15 minutes to consume the notes that it's generated and that sort of thing. We have a hypothesis that in Fonterra within COO, which is manufacturing, that 20 to 30% of meetings don't need to happen. I think that that's right, but just expressed wrong. I think 20 to 30% of people don't need to attend meetings, because if you're not the influencer or the decision maker, you can simply watch the recap later on, or choose not to attend at all and get that time back. And then if you do watch the recap, you still gain 45 minutes back. So the way that we change the way we work here is we haven't even begun to unpick it. I'm sure lots of you watch YouTube people talk about generative AI and Copilot or podcasts and that sort of thing. The bulk of them don't know shit. It's true. I'll share the ones that, if people are interested, I'll share the ones that I listen to. But especially the ones that talk about us being at the top of the hype cycle. I reckon we're only at the beginning of this. We haven't even got GPT-5 out yet. 4.0 isn't available for us. That will be a game changer. And the reason why I talk about things like that is we have a need to start using multimodal stuff in Fonterra. We need to interview hundreds and hundreds of people that are retiring every year, and their IP is leaving with them. We can't interview them before they leave. We don't have enough resources to do it. We need an army to do it. And so I've got a vision of a kind of generative AI multimodal chatbot with a farmer as an avatar or whatever. We can change the avatar, but it's literally called the interview bot, where we can load up a set of questions to it, and it will speak the questions. It won't type them. You won't have to type back to it, because if you type back, you'll get lazy and your answer won't be as rich as it would be if you're speaking. And then what we will do is, with things like GPT 4.0, although we were going to go use Grok, not Elon's Grok, for those that know what I'm talking about, and use that because it's so fast, but GPT 4.0 solves this for us, and be able to have a conversation with it and have it understand what you said and then ask the intelligent follow-up questions. I joked that, oh, who's a BA here? Anybody? 1, 2, 3. Oh, no. Oh. This stuff effectively replaces BAs, because it doesn't. It changes the way you work. But that menial, boring part of your job, where you have to interview people, you have to do the analysis, it removes that from it, and it also removes your internal bias, where you decided not to take a note, but then it turns out that that note was actually quite important. And things like that, or that sort of thing. But our idea here is to scale this out to a point where we can interview hundreds of people a day, and get that knowledge, drop it into the Microsoft Graph or wherever we want to put it, and it's there so that it can be used by the next people that come through, or our grads, because we have big grad programs. How am I going for time, by the way? 5 minutes.
Take some questions.
Yeah, I was questions. This is always a fun bit. Yes, go for it.
Curious that we know the benefit of you. Really income through enter rolling out.
How to roll it out?
Certain about people.
It polices itself pretty well. If you can't kind of game it like some of the other frontier models and that sort of thing that are out there. So if you go into Copilot, anybody's got it, go and ask it right now, what's a meta prompt? It'll shut you down. A meta prompt is basically just the extra information that it puts in ahead of what you've put in as your prompt. But it's being policed in a way so that you can't try and hack it, for lack of a better way of putting it. But no, it's really, really conservative. It's programmed by a really conservative organization, and they would much rather limit it at the moment rather than have it do things like Gemini's done and other bits and pieces out there. Yes.
You are rolling it out. Do you use Copilot Studio, or do you figure it in your own way? How much does Copilot rollout is Fonterra's Copilot versus Microsoft's out of the box?
Yeah, great question. So that was, do we use Copilot Studio or do we use the native Copilot? The answer is yes. We use the generic Microsoft Copilot for all our users. We'd already built Co-op GPT, which is ChatGPT, for ourselves before they announced Copilot Studio. But because we were using the Azure platform for it, we will at some point turn them into plugins for it. But at the moment, we're still testing the capabilities there around what it can do and how to chunk some pretty big content in the right way. And we've got some other security concerns around our IP that we're just working through. But Copilot Studio is effectively Power Virtual Agent just with AI. What it's really good at is if you want to knock out something really quick, and you say you've got an organizational change thing you need to do on a specific topic, you can go into Copilot Studio, point it at that SharePoint site, and you've got, and that's all you need to do, because it'll then use the unknown, not misunderstood context or something in Power Virtual Agent to then go and use the AI piece, and it'll search that website. It'll also grab online content as well if you want. So you can have a bot going in 10 minutes. They're not very clever, but yeah. Yes.
Like building the interview bot, so I know when you will reply. Also, another question.
Yes.
So with all the infinite number of the bots, how do you think it will change the graduate programs at Fonterra?
Oh, two big questions. The first one, I've been trying to get that built now for ages. I'm glad I haven't, because we didn't know about GPT-4o until the rest of the world did. So I don't have an idea on that one, but that would be for us internally. So we're not going to sell it to anybody. How will this change the grad program? That's a really good question. I think we'll be looking for people more and more with advanced science degrees, people that are actually using generative AI. It's a tricky one because the Copilot is in this really fluffy, messy human world bit, and we're not very organized people. And because it's about the flow of work and ways of working, it's really, really unstructured. So can you use generative AI? Yes or no is going to be an important question. Do you know how to use the back-end stuff, Azure, OpenAI, Hugging Face, that sort of thing? Probably relevant in the IT space, but I'd be looking at, if I was the recruiter, I would be looking at, tell me about how you saved time in your degree and went out to party more, because if you're motivated to learn it to do that, then you're going to be motivated to be more efficient, hopefully effective as well in the workplace. So I'm not sure I answered your questions, but yeah.
What's your best 5 prompts?
My best 5 prompts.
No, but I'm saying that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah. That's a good one. Yes.
What sort of ethical guidelines did you roll out with it?
That's a really good question. So we relied on Microsoft's documentation. We are still in the process of writing our ethical use policies, primarily because we've got a lot of other policies in place around technology and don't be an idiot and all that sort of things. It's all kind of covered within that, and we're just kind of waiting for this to slow down a little bit. We've also got other policies in place because we've got a very advanced machine learning and general AI practice in place around how do we turn lights out in factories, how do we check quality and all that sort of thing. So AI isn't new to us. This chat body stuff is, but because it's a limited deployment at the moment, with plans to go larger, Microsoft controls around it have been good enough.
Does it follow then that you've got a lot of instances where you don't have humans in the loop because it's an AI to turn off the factory lights?
Yes. Yeah. So we have one which just looks at photos all day of bag seals. So we put milk powder into 20-kilo bags. They're sealed automatically. We take a photo of every single one of them, and we save probably can, in a conservative estimate, $36 million of product recalls to customers. So the impact of that is that product never gets looked at, gets put on a pallet. We don't know how to sell a kilo bag of milk powder, don't ask us, but we can sell you 1,000 ton, and it comes in 40-foot containers. So that gets to America, and then the whole shipment's contaminated. So now we've lost that. The customer's annoyed. We've now got to ship another container over. So we're able to prevent that whole supply chain challenge. So the actual cost of it, north of 30 million in cost savings. And so we do lots of stuff like this, and we have been for quite a while. Interestingly, we just started looking at using untrained GPT-4o to do the same image recognition without, here's 25 images. It got an 80% accuracy of just saying, is this bag seal right or not? And we gave it no information about what a bag seal looks like. So the image capabilities in this stuff is crazy. There was one over here before. Yeah.
Two questions came.
Oh, okay.
Ask the question quickly. Even though we talk about ChatGPT and even in this one, natural language, we talk about natural language, but actually the success is all about on the prompt engineering, how you prompt properly. What kind of a approach have you taken to get the maximum out of that one? Like, have you all built your own prompt engineering prompts and then give it to the team saying, here, these are the successful prompts you can think of, or these are the ones we have successful level of success, and how you use that one to optimize within the organization?
So in our initial onboarding demo, I do foxes learning to fly. Now, create an image of foxes learning to fly. One reason I do that is it's guaranteed to be safe. The other one is the images come out all cute, and then well, a lot of the ones go, oh, well, that's so cute and shit like that. And we're doing training, so we've got to keep people engaged. So it's kind of gimmicky, but it serves a purpose. I joked before about not having original thought. You know, I put it into Copilot. I talk to it all day. At home, there's my phone over there. I literally talk to it, but in the office context, I haven't quite worked out how to do that yet without feeling uncomfortable. What I do though is I ask it questions. So help me improve this prompt. I'm trying to solve X. How could I make this prompt better? And make it do the hard work for you. You can ask it a lot of the things. I use the chat bot. I don't use the Excel one or that very much, because I find that this one it has got a lot less controls around it, and it's not context specific. So I can go into it and I can say, what are the trends in this document? And link to an Excel spreadsheet, and it'll read it quite happily. And it'll do it much better than the Excel one. I'll ask it to fix formulas for me, because I don't do work anymore. I talk for a living. So when I have to do something in an Excel spreadsheet, I spend hours looking for it. I caution people around using things that you see on LinkedIn, because there's an inherent weakness, which is Microsoft Search at the moment, because its APIs, are designed around only returning 10. So if you've got a busy inbox, or if your calendar looks like mine, and because I work for Fonterra, from 8:30 till 6, I have back-to-back 30-minute meetings. So only the first 10 get returned. If I get mentioned in Teams chats, only the first 10 get returned. So when you see here's a hint for you. When you see somebody on LinkedIn go, here's an awesome prompt, prepare me for my day, it's garbage. That person's not using that prompt doesn't work. If they're always executives and they're not using it, because I know their mailboxes are full. So they only got the first 10 emails. They only got the first 10 meetings. They only got the first 10 mentions in Teams. They're not using it, because if they did, they would know that prompt doesn't work. So we tell people not to use those too much. The one that does work quite well is, where have I been mentioned on this topic? Because then it's grounding it better. You've got a topic and you've got an app mention, and it's kind of that grounding that's really, really important into how do you get around the limitations in Microsoft Search. Now they will be. We're very privileged. We're Fonterra, so we get access to all their product teams. The one product team that won't talk to me at the moment is the search team, which tells me they're really busy fixing this problem. So yeah, there'll be some announcement at some point where they'll be like, now it's returning all this, and it'll be like when Copilot in PowerPoint went from I'll only do 4 slides to here's 300 slides, because they just turned the verbosity up on it. Yeah, one more. There we go. Yep.
Firstly, thank you. It's really insightful. We have talked about expenses and savings as well. You're rolling it out. So like, what's the overall perception? Because whenever there's a technological advancement, there is usually fear, redundancy, or maybe change in role.
Yeah.
Is it there? And if it's there, how you are dealing with it or plan to deal with it?
Well, one of the questions we asked in our expression of interest form was, where do you rate yourself on, technical savviness and on kind of adoption curves? Because we wanted to bring people along. We found that if people were technically resistant, laggards, whatever it's called on the hype cycle, I can't remember, didn't impact it so much. It was giving them something to use and getting them to get a result first off, and then you get your first fish hook into them, and then they'll start using it. And part of our iterating around trying to get the training right was what solved that. So we had quite a high drop-off rate to begin with. We're now at 95% utilization. It's just crazy. The thing is to get people to find a way to use it, and that for me, that was, I'm using it in my home life. Why am I not teaching that? Because that's why it was so easy for me to get my head around Copilot, because I'd already had a big head start with GPT-3, and 2 was a bit dumb, but GPT-3 and then 3.5 and that sort of thing. So I'd already kind of had a head start. So that was working for me. And so, not being arrogant to say what works for me works for everybody else, but we started talking about it as a team. We started testing around it and started changing it. And now every time I stand up, I talk about my child for some stupid reason. But anyway. Yeah.
Comment down from Greg.
Thank you, Greg. I love it. Yeah, look, again, I've been really privileged to be able to do this. So, yeah, and I've been talking to groups more and more about this once I actually had the knowledge, because I see this as a huge opportunity for New Zealand Inc. We keep seeing people complaining about productivity. We see people complaining about working too hard, working too many hours. Yes, this is expensive, but it is actually the solution to New Zealand's productivity issues, to people having more fulfilling lives, to work being easier. And if I had time, I'd give more and more examples, but I know Daryl's going to tell me to shut up.
I'll just say there's a part 2 at some point. Right?
Oh, yeah, I'll come back and talk again another time. Yes.
I was squeezing the question.
Yeah.
Pay for it, give it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm considering actually paying for it as part of my own personal license for family. So yeah, I can read that. I'm interested in how the champion program internally for Champion Copilot has gone. Yeah, Luke, awesome question. Hit and miss. We have some of them that are really engaged and get it, and we have them now doing demos at our drop-in sessions. I think what you do in that space is you spend time with the ones which are excited. You'll all know who your excited people are. Give them a few licenses, get them a few successes, spend time with them. So we do a lot of in the early days, we did a lot of one-on-one kind of lab experimentation, get people going with it, and they just keep iterating and trying, and then you turn them into champions, and all of a sudden they're presenting to groups of 300 people they didn't even know.
Just to add into that one, Stephen, I found out another good one, Microsoft did. There is another one we can add it to that one called Prompt Buddy. It's a program one of the guys developed. Basically, across the sectors, they have given sample ideal prompts and then telling, okay, within your organization, promote it and tell your team members to give the ideal prompts. Yeah. So then the biggest challenge is like sometimes they don't know, what is the ideal prompt I should be starting with, rather than like figuring out everything. Okay, go to that Teams chat, and under that particular segment, you have the sample prompts. So let's give you a quick idea for you to, okay, so this is how we should be prompting. So that's the one I was feeling like really good. That's a really good start. Then I was really thinking when I asked the question from you, okay, have you figured out what are the ideal prompts? That's also.
I think ideal prompts are a very personal thing. So I keep Notepad open on my machine, and I've got stuff listed there that I use. And now that Notepad just tabs across, which is awesome, I've got heaps. for me, that's a lot less friction than going to something else to load up, wait for it to load, to look for a prompt. And that's one of the challenges that we've had. So we've got a prompt lab like Microsoft does. People contribute to it, but it's more of our champions and the really energetic people that do. Others keep asking, where could I find them? And every week we go, they're in the prompt lab. So I think the jury's out on that stuff. I think we, as part of each person's individual journey, they'll work out how to manage that for themselves. It's a bit like password management and favorites and all that sort of thing. That sort of thing.
Just that last question on
How much time is checking answers for accuracy versus time saved? Bob, great question. It gives you citations around what it's using when you're using the anything which is using Microsoft Search. If you're the subject matter expert, you'll be able to read it, and then you'll know if it's gone off track. If you're not having a look at the citations, it gives you an idea around it, and you'll find that it's got some random document from 1992 because Fonterra never deletes anything, and could be out of date. Just saying. It's a tricky one. You get to learn. You kind of get a sixth sense for where it's gone wrong. You can also ask it. Review your last answer. What are the areas that you think might need improvement, or where you've made or might be hallucination stuff, and you got variations of that. That can give you an idea around it. But you've got to kind of go with it. The thing that we teach people is that just because Copilot generated, you're responsible for the output. So if you hit the send button, you own it. That said, I ask Copilot to compose responses to emails and sign them off as Stephen's Copilot without reading them at all. But the actual subtlety behind that is the person behind that. I make the whole thing italics as well, so it looks different. But the person receiving that should probably start wondering why it is I couldn't be bothered reading that content and making sure it was right before hitting send to them. Just saying. All right. Yes.
But maybe we'll, if Stephen's happy to share some contact details, we can pass it on to the group a bit later on, or get him back for a second round. But yeah, thanks to Stephen. Okay, well, next up we are going to have a.
One R in Morison, by the way. Just go back.
We will fix that.
No, that's right. But so that's how you find me on LinkedIn, and just connect there, and I'll get to you. I think it's a lot of noise at the moment.
How many people actually joined tonight?
So we are now going to hand over to Daniel. Yeah, DSR. Yeah, some updates on Copilot and Bill.
Yeah, good point. Hey, thanks, Stephen. That was amazing. I wish we could have you all day. Let me just
charging that.
Thanks, Nick. See if this works. Oi. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Great to have you all here. And this is like number 3, episode 3, and looking forward to news next time with Lauren. I don't know who here is aware of Microsoft Build. Yes, a few people, right? Microsoft Build is our sort of annual developer conference. That happened last week. And of course, we like to save up all the announcements for one big go so that we don't trickle them out. That doesn't work. We trickle them out anyway. So I'm going to give you a bit of a run through real quick of what we saw in the Copilot space announced last week. This often runs at US time, so unless you're really dedicated and want to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning, you may have missed some of these. So there's 3 key ones that I think probably are worth focusing on here. I'm actually on the AI side. I typically work on the build Copilots, so I tend to look at what is happening in Azure OpenAI and all that sort of stuff. So we won't cover that today. We'll just look at the Copilot on the M365 front, and then we'll talk a little bit about share a little bit about something called the Work Trend Index, which I think is so important given what Stephen was just covering. Right, so number 1, Copilot extensions. So this was sort of touched on by Stephen, and I think someone in the audience talked about it. The M365 Copilots have the ability for you to extend them either through Copilot Studio or through a number of other ways, through the the graph or through graph connectors. But two new ways were announced, right? And that was going to be the via Copilot Studio and via the Visual Studio Toolkit for Copilot Studio Toolkit for Visual Studio Code. Those two allow you to sort of build your own extensions and play extensions into Microsoft Copilot. And we're seeing some really interesting things happening in that space, allowing your Copilots to take actions. Because right now, Copilot's very much you ask a question, you get an answer. Whereas we're now looking at the ability for you to integrate your Copilot into other products and actually have those products take actions. For example, go ahead and book me some flights via Expedia for that offsite I'm planning in August. I'm not planning an offsite in August, but yeah, I could do that. That's number one. We're going to show a demo, show actually some videos of what this looks like. Copilot in SharePoint. The other thing we see with Copilot, M365 Copilot, if you've got lots of SharePoints, everyone always goes, oh, I just want a Copilot that works over this SharePoint site, that covers just these documents. I've got a project SharePoint with all the project files that relate to this particular thing we're doing. I don't want Copilot to look at my entire ecosystem of documents. And for a company the size of Fonterra, you could imagine if you ask Copilot, find me, give me an answer to something, it's going to find 50 documents that maybe provide that answer. Whereas you only want the ones that are from that project. So now you can, or it has been announced in preview that you can now just point at a SharePoint site, click the Copilot button, and it will create you a customized Copilot that works on all of the files in that SharePoint site or just some of them, a subset of them. Should I demo that in a sec? Finding Team Copilot. So this is going to be super. Right now, Copilots are very much a personal thing. You use them. You start a Copilot chat session with the Copilots, just you and the Copilot. What has now been announced is the ability to add Copilot into a team and make them a team member that will help the whole team work together. And that's going to enable Loop. That's going to be in Loop, right? Copilot for Planner. I don't know if everyone uses Planner, right? All of that stuff. So that's going to be huge. I think that's going to be really useful. So I'm going to show a quick couple of real short sizzle videos of what those look like. So let's see if this works with the audio. Luke, yell out if you can't hear this.
Over 2
or
billion
you can't hear it.
Over 2 billion pieces of content are added to Microsoft SharePoint every day, just waiting to be shared and used. But how do you find the information you need when you need it? Now you can get a tailored Copilot experience from SharePoint or OneDrive, giving you and your team a simple way to get the answers you're looking for, grounded in your content. As an everyday user, you can quickly create a Copilot right from where your information is stored. It's as easy as creating a folder, but way more powerful. Once your Copilot is ready, easily share it with others. It works alongside you and your peers, like a digital assistant for your team, department, or even the whole company. Now everyone can quickly surface the information they need, grounded on curated, authoritative content. Want to customize the Copilot or add data sources beyond SharePoint? Just use Copilot Studio, which directly integrates with SharePoint. Unlock the knowledge embedded in your content. Give your team the information it needs to boost collaboration and drive business forward by easily creating a Copilot in SharePoint and OneDrive.
Cool. So that's coming soon. I think it's available. Is it available? I looked at Daryl, like he knows, he knows all these things. So I think that will solve a number of challenges, a number of gaps that we've seen. Troy, do you know? Private preview. There you go.
Can I ask a favour? Could you show the previous slide? I didn't grab the back.
You didn't. There we go. Oh, actually, I should have called that out. This was also announced. Bellman, right? The Copilot Learning Hub. So the Copilot Learning Hub, we found that obviously you need Copilot and then understanding of Copilot, learning about Copilot, driving that transformation, needs its own learning resources. So we have released a Learning Hub, which is you can get to learnmicrosoft.com/Copilot. I hope I've spelt that right. Yeah, cool. I have. That is really useful. I think that's going to be a great resource for people to so grab a photo of that.
Yeah, that's 20 different kind of Copilot Learn sites. There's Viva, like Copilot Learn, there's Microsoft.Copilot, there's a number of different places that you can access information. Is there a centralized action?
It is. That's great. That's a really good question.
CE, the number of certifications that you can achieve, you can specialize in area. Is there going to be a Copilot certification? How far away from that?
So
Learn badges, so you can do the learn thing to get the badge.
Very simple.
Yes.
So very simple.
If you're going down the path and you want to press, you look at the fundamental stuff as well. But it's to go at some stage go down that path again. Fundamentals. The prep now.
And just say on that as well, on Learn, it would be good that the certifications that you're looking for, you could actually filter directly because they don't always align.
So,
for example, I'm doing DP 100 at the moment, and I filtered it the other day. I'm thinking I'm missing something. Surely, it was like there were only 12. I think it was supposed to be 15 off the education. When I was going back to that, it actually listed them. So, okay.
that's probably feedback that we have to give to the Learn team, which is a completely separate team, but it's good. I think that is good feedback about the centralization of documentation and learning, and I think that is starting to come together. And I think the Copilot Learning Hub is going to be hopefully the place to land. And then, of course, if you've got Viva Insights, that being surfaced up in there. But that is going to be the learn about Copilot. I think you've got an entire place to land of, hey, I need to drive in a transformation adoption, an adoption process. There are other resources for you, which are less about learning about Copilot and more about how do we figure out, the plan to train everyone? How do we, map out the security, the onboarding, the customization? That's a different set of resources.
Cool. Landing.
That's adoption.microsoft.com/Copilot. So that's the adoption hub. So slightly different use case. But this is everyone who's using a Copilot anyway, this is the landing place for that. Just in the interest of...
Microsoft Copilot is evolving from your personal AI assistant to your team AI assistant. Introducing Team Copilot, a new valuable team member helping everyone achieve more together. You'll be able to add Copilot as a meeting facilitator, taking notes during the discussion that everyone can edit and add during the meeting, along with follow-up tasks and actions for everyone to see. Sharing and managing the agenda with the team, keeping the conversation on track, and integration with Teams rooms ensures Copilot can continue taking notes, even for ad hoc meetings. You'll be able to add Copilot as a collaborator in chats, keeping everyone aligned with up-to-date insights as the conversation happens, and interacting with the team, responding to questions based on messages and shared files. You'll be able to add Copilot as a project manager, creating project plans with tasks and goals, and assigning them to team members. Copilot can also take on completing tasks on behalf of the group, notifying team members when input is needed, and facilitating group collaboration to complete the task. With Team Copilot evolving to provide team assistance, your team will be more productive, collaborative, and creative together. Microsoft Copilot.
Nice. So I think that's private preview as well. It's
2024.
That's right. So that could be anywhere next 6 months. Yeah. Okay, we're nearly wrapped up. I just wanted to call out a couple of things. We mentioned the work trend index. Every year, Microsoft has basically looks at what is the trends in work, how has that changed, what are we seeing businesses do. This is a report that we generate. There was the 2023 one, obviously the beginning of this generative AI sort of movement. The 2024 one came out a couple of weeks ago. There's some really interesting insights, but I think this is just one of the insights here, which is really that you know, sort of reinforces what Stephen is saying, that people are looking for, you know, are looking to hire people with those generative AI skills, the ability to use these tools effectively. There are lots of other insights. I don't think this is a, you know, this is a changing space, but I encourage everyone to have a look at it if you sort of want to understand where things are going. Stephen mentioned, I know it's not on the slide here, Stephen mentioned GPT-4o. So GPT-4o is by far the most capable multimodal model. That is actually now, that was announced as GA in Azure build. So if you do want to go and start building your own solutions, you can use GPT-4o. But I will say, it is a truly multimodal model, and video and audio input or video and speech input into the model is not yet enabled. So all the amazing things that OpenAI have demonstrated with two AIs singing to each other, I don't know if you've seen that demo, those are not yet available to us because of the audio, the video, and I think OpenAI are not going to release that functionality until after the US election, because it is, you know, they need some time to really make sure that it's safe and they're doing the responsible thing. So, but you can go and get that. There's also Copilot in Azure. I don't know, anyone here use Azure? Like 3 people. Okay, there is a Copilot in Azure, and of course there was GitHub Copilot extensions. I just basically picked everything with Copilot in the name. So with that, I think we are wrapped up. You're going to wrap us up? Yeah.
We're very happy. So we didn't actually plan a wrap up. We're going to wrap up anyway. We've got a couple of topics on the table that we've been thinking about for the next couple of weeks. But there's a community event, and you guys have been incredibly engaging and actually coming. Just like, yay! Pizza bill is crazy. You know how much we spend on pizzas for this event as UP? So shocked. Needless to say, it's a lot, but you're worth it. We were thinking adoption and training was one of the topics we'd like to cover. The other topic we thought would be a good topic to cover would be readiness. And the other one was extensibility. So Copilot Studio is new and brand new and shiny. So those are the sort of 3 topics we have in play at the moment. So maybe a show of hands, and if you can monitor online, we would show of hands, adoption and training. That's a 50% ratio. Readiness for Copilot readiness. Not the most popular, but thank you. You might be lost. No, not personal. Copilot Studio and extensibility. Okay, adoption and training wins, and Copilot Studio is second, and then readiness is lost. Cool. Online? Yeah.
And just for your insights.
Can we wait until they launch that? But yeah, fantastic. So yeah.
Online is maybe a hackathon.
Oh man, pressure on the group, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
But we do want to have more collaborative, sort of round the table type sessions when you can talk about things and.
What we could potentially do with
use the Copilot Studio with the SharePoint collaboration.
Yeah, maybe we could do that. Maybe we can do the Copilot Studio. We ask everyone to bring their laptops. We book the room next door rather, and we make it a community hackathon for 2 hours. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Cool. So any questions for the group? Lauren, welcome. We're looking forward to you taking up all the workload, because Daryl and myself are old and we need to go sleep early. I'm joking. Thank you. Thanks for the Microsoft hosting. We are going to be having a new community sponsor as of next month. We've decided as a collective that we're going to do community sponsors every 3 months. So it's fair and also doesn't make sort of favor one partner. Our new community sponsors next 3 months is AFPoint, who are a third party. They'll tell us a bit about one of their products for about 20 minutes at some stage, but that's it. But the important thing is they're paying for the pits and the beer. And apparently wine as well. I've been told. Wine, do we want red or white? Should we just go the... Yeah, okay, go a bit of Pinot and you sort of just leave it there. Yeah.
Fusion 5 for the last 3.
Yes. All good. Very good. And one last sort of arbitrary little thing we would talk about is we want to design a community sticker. We'll pay for it. We'll find funding somewhere, don't worry. Keen on the community sticker for our laptops? I'm a sticker person.
Yeah. Kiwi in the middle.
Yeah, that one, yeah. That's like 5 people wanted. I guess that's fun. Just quick, yeah. Thank you very much. Have fun. It is, I think the pit. Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you, group. Have fun. Cheers. Goodbye.